Now, these are images of this morning in the city of Abuja, the nation's capital, where leaders of the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, led by the party's chairman, Mr. Uche Secondo's, trooped to the streets in protest against last week's judgment of the Supreme Court on Imo State's governorship seat. A rally the party tagged the mother of all protests took off from the party's headquarters in Abuja. The PDP is demanding a reversal of the judgment that sacked Mr. Emeana as governor of the state. Well, back in Imo State, supporters of the All Progressives Congress and Mr. Hope Uzodimma are also, we're here, staging another rally in solidarity to the governor. We get more on what's happening on the ground. Our correspondent, Eyitokwe Kute, tells us more. Eyitokwe.
Good afternoon, Millicent. It's been a beehive of political activities here in Imo State, especially after the Supreme Court ruling that sacked Right Honorable Emeana as the governor of Imo State. But I can tell you that even with these political activities being on the increase, Imo State has been peaceful and calm. We've not recorded any form of breakdown of law and order in any part of the state. Only yesterday, members and supporters of the People's Democratic Party across the 27 local government areas of Imo State converged on Owerri to protest against the Supreme Court ruling. They are demanding a quick reversal of this judgment. And in few moments from now, we'll be seeing members of the All Progressive Congress across the 305 wards and 27 local government areas of Imo State converging on the Hero Square here in Owerri, the Imo State capital, on a solidarity rally in support of the emergence of Governor Hope Uzodimma as the new governor of Imo State. And I can tell you, no doubt, the coming days will be interesting politically in Imo State, and we won't hesitate to bring you details of these happenings as it unfolds. It's back to you in Lagos.
All right, many thanks, Eyitokwe, for that update. Well, still taking a look at what happened when we heard the Supreme Court verdict on Imo State. Joining us from our Abuja studios are two guests. We have Mr. Ray Emeana, is the PDP secretary in Imo State, and also Mr. Gerald Ekwunife, an All Progressives Congress member. We'd like to thank you both for joining us at this time. I must begin with you, Mr. Emeana, as to why does the People's Democratic Party, your party, think it still has a case where Imo State is concerned?
It's not just about the People's Democratic Party. It's about Imo people. Imo people are still hopeful and optimistic that justice will be done. What has happened so far is a travesty of justice. In fact, it's an embarrassment to the judicial system in Nigeria. I think more or less it is the judiciary that is in case that the judiciary is on trial. And members of the judiciary, particularly the Supreme Court, have the opportunity to ensure that the higher institution, the reverence and respect accorded to that highest court of the land is not in any way reduced by their pronouncement, because it is bizarre and people are in shock. They are worried as to how what figures were used and for what. For instance, I make bold to say that in Imo State, the total of 375,000 and some fractions of votes were accredited. And out of this number of accredited votes, INEC recorded about 675,000 as valid votes cast and 25,000 as either invalid or cancelled. All that comes within the range of 823,000 votes accredited for that election. And we know that a vote is considered lawful except if it is accredited. Now, and it was based on that the result was declared, and Emeana had 276,000 of those lawful votes cast, with Hope Uzodimma coming a distant fourth with 96,000 votes cast. Now, if the Hope Uzodimma's claim is that 388 votes were cancelled or excluded, but that is not the issue. And that is not correct, and some lawyers have been saying the INEC has no right to cancel votes once cast. But that is not the point. The point is that those votes are not in contention. They were never votes cast through that election. Because if you add the almost 300,000 votes accredited to Hope Uzodimma, you will now be having 903,000 or more votes, which exceeds the total number of valid votes accredited for that election.
Let's find out from Mr. Ekwunife.
If you deduct that extra vote.
Let's quickly find out from Mr. Ekwunife on some of the comments you're making on this. And also, Mr. Ekwunife, the calls for the Apex Court to review or reverse its decision, is that an option?
Reverse review, that wouldn't be unknown to law, Millicent, all right? If the Supreme Court being the highest court of the land and the court of last resort, whose judgment is final on any matter, if you still have some reservations, on any judgments or ruling delivered by the Supreme Court, and you feel strongly about it, you feel that your case was not properly looked into, you have an opportunity to go back to the Supreme Court and try to draw their attention to it, try to introduce, maybe new facts or facts you feel that they did not quite countenance properly, and then, based on that, you'll be praying them, okay, to, reverse their judgment or, set it aside. They can, reverse themselves. But outside that, there is no other thing. I'll give you an instance, Millicent, all right? In the case of Zamfara, where the APC, all right, were totally, I don't want to use the word robbed because it was a decision of the Supreme Court again. The people chose APC from top to bottom. Elections were concluded. In fact, this morning, a friend of mine, a journalist, was on air, and I was driving out, and then he narrated an experience. A friend of his from Zamfara, APC member, who ran, for House of Assembly, he borrowed money and all of that, and he won. And mind you, at the primaries, he was unopposed. In other words, nobody contested against him. But by virtue of that Supreme Court decision, a man that ran unopposed, okay, his election was taken away by the Supreme Court.
All right,
and
sorry
given
to cut
to the,
in, but we're seeing the mother of all protests in Abuja. We saw that in Imo yesterday. What further will the party be doing to ensure perhaps that some of your demands are met? What steps are you taking?
The party and the people of Imo State will continue to insist that justice prevails in a very lawful manner. In Imo State yesterday, when when journalists described that the demonstration yesterday as that of PDP, it's not fair. Market women, widows, pensioners who have not been paid their pension for 8 years, who are now being paid, teachers, workers, trooped out to say, this is not the result of the votes we cast. In an election where somebody who said to have won had over 300,000 votes from only 288 booths, 388 polling units, as against 3,554 polling units, and could not produce one single member of the House of Assembly. In a Supreme Court decision that says that the second runner-up, the HMOSU, was a double candidate of both APC and AA. The same Supreme Court turned around to award the result, the person who came forth, and brought results and said, if you add this result, because that's the, somebody said, no, the judgment is not out. But what was read out of the court is that if you add the discountenance votes of Hopos or them that we are not taking into consideration, he would have won. And we are saying these are results that were brought in by a policeman from Benue, who was not subpoenaed by the court and who was not a witness of the court. And INEC disowned the results and said these results do not belong to us.
I know
they
some
are
of these
fake
arguments
results.
need to be marshaled out in court.
The lower tribunal.
I know, Mr. Emeana, that some of these arguments need to be marshaled out in court. And in this case now, that's if the Supreme Court indeed listens to some of what your party and other members are saying. But quickly now, to wrap this up, Ms. Ekwunife, we also hear that the APC in Imo State are doing a counter-protest. To what end?
They can do that. I'm not in Imo State, okay? I am, here in Abuja, okay? So to that extent, I'm not a stakeholder, just the larger APC. But let me say this, Millicent, because there is no time. The issue is These arguments, Millicent, canvassed by, the PDP, the proper place for it is the courts. And they failed woefully to do that at the tribunal. If you are challenging the outcome of a result, you say they are fake, you should have marshaled them out. You have about the best legal team anybody could have had at the tribunal. You failed. Let it be on record before Nigerians that the police officer, according to the law, is indeed a relevant witness. Why? What was up for determination was not whether elections held in those 388 polling units, because elections did hold. If PDP is saying it didn't hold, they should have marshaled that out at the tribunal. So what was up for determination was whether results were excluded. And according to our Electoral Act and the Evidence Act, particularly Electoral Act, the police officers on operations that day in those polling units will get a copy, signed copy of the results. And that was what the Supreme Court said, insofar as the police were present and had a signed copy, as did Hope Uzodinma's agents.
We'd like to appreciate your time. I really wish we had a lot of time on this issue, but we'd like to thank you, Mr. Emeana, PDP Secretary, Imo State, and also Mr. Gerald Ekwunife. Thank you for your thoughts on this issue.